Oh, what do you got? Oh, a stick. Drop. Hey, welcome to Living High, Wild, and Free. I wanted to make a quick video on how I make a live well in the backcountry. Lakes that I can't drive to, so I have limited amount of equipment to make a live well. Why make a live well? Well, when I'm out trophy fishing, when I want to catch fish that I want to be able to measure and take pictures of, I like to have a space where I can keep those fish and make sure that they are getting oxygen and staying wet and not being frozen. Because when fish are exposed to the elements and when they're out of the water, the mortality rate of that fish increases as the time that the fish spends out of water increases. So to make a live well, a space where the fish can stay, is actually very simple, and it doesn't require many tools. So I always bring an axe when I'm out in the backcountry, you know, to make a fire for emergencies whatsoever. So I always have this with me, and obviously when I'm fishing, I have some sort of auger. So I'm using here an 8-inch nils and a DeWalt hammer drill to make my ice holes. With the nils, the biggest downfall is that you can't overlap the holes. It's really difficult to do so, and it could potentially damage the blade. So that's where the axe comes in handy. I break down the barriers, the spaces in between the holes with the axe. So I'll show you how it goes. So something that's not necessary but is handy for this is a shovel. I could just take my foot and get the snow out of the way, but with the shovel it just works a little bit more easily, just to clear out a space so you can see what's going on and be able to line up the holes properly. So something to note before we get started is it's good to pop a couple of holes before we start trying to make the live well, because we don't want to actually go through the ice right away. We want to create a space, a channel, using the auger and the axe, and then we want to pop one of the holes to flood the area and allow the fish to rest in there. So I like to go down at least a foot. So this only works later in the season. In the beginning of the season, you have to bring a net out to create a live well, where you actually cut a hole in the ice like a sight fishing hole and use a net to let the fish rest. That is my preferred method, but when you're hiking into a lake like I have, you know, just an extra weight, extra bulk that sometimes isn't applicable in these kinds of situations. So you just simply line up as many holes as you need, and the amount of holes that you need is dependent upon the kind of fish that you're going after and the size that you expect to catch. So I'm going after a trophy-sized rainbow trout, and in northern Saskatchewan, where I'm fishing, to catch a fish that's 30 or above inches for rainbow trout is basically a fish of a lifetime. So realistically, I'm not expecting to catch a 30-incher, but I'm going to prep for one. And you don't want the holes, the size of the live well, to be much bigger than the fish that you're going to be catching. You want to give the fish enough space so that it can breathe easily, it can be upright in the water but you don't want to give enough space that the fish can move side to side or back to front. You want to be able to keep the fish contained so it doesn't hurt itself while it's in the live well. So I have an 8-inch auger. So if you do quick math, I'll need 4 holes, and that should give plenty of space for any of the trout that I'll catch and potentially want to measure and take pictures of and so forth. And so I take my shovel again and I clear off all the ice shavings, like so. And then I take my axe. This is kind of dramatized just to show you what I'm talking about, but I'm actually like, when I'm hitting down, I'm going towards the edges of the hole to create a more flat channel, like so. All right, so the channel's complete. There's plenty of space for the fish to stay in the live well. And so one of the last steps is just to pop one of the holes that we've created all the way down so that water can now flood the area, just like so. I haven't found that it really matters which hole you pop. Some people are kind of finicky about it, like they only want the center ones popped or they only want the edges popped. I honestly haven't found it to be too big of an issue as long as the live well is the adequate size for the fish that you're trying to hold. So I'm just going to pop the end because I've noticed that there's a little bit of water seeping out of it anyways. So I might as well just finish it off and pop it. And so that's it. Just clean out the ice chunks out of the hole and it'll be ready for use. Something to note about live wells is that they're not a permanent place for a fish. There's very limited amounts of moving water, right? It's very stagnant in the live well, and oxygen is very slow to dissolve through water. It's much more rapid in air. So you could imagine if you go into like an airtight space, you can only stay there for so long. You'll use up the oxygen available and you'll start to suffocate. Well, the same goes with the live well. Just because I did pop a hole there doesn't mean that there's always refreshment of water. It's very slow. And so when you're keeping a fish in there, try to be as quick as possible with whatever you need to do. It's much better than allowing the fish to just lay on the ice while you do your things like get measurements or take pictures and so on and so forth. But being in the live well doesn't mean that the fish can just stay there forever. And that's just something to note, that I would try to do it as quick as possible, only a few minutes in the live well at a time. I would say a maximum of about 5 minutes to be in the live well. So get the fish in there, get whatever tools you need, tape measure, scale, camera, get that all ready, take the fish out, do the measurements, put the fish back in, get your camera ready, take the fish back out, take a few pictures, and then release the fish as quickly as possible. And doing so will give you the fish the maximum likelihood that it'll survive. And so somebody else can catch it and it can reproduce if it's not a stock trout. Obviously, stock trout can't reproduce, but still I'd like to allow others to catch the fish, or selfishly, I'd like to catch the fish again. So that's about it. It's very simple, it's very quick to do, and it is a huge difference when taking great pictures to allowing the fish the maximum likelihood of survival afterwards. So thanks for watching, and I hope that you put your live well to good use and put some trophy fish in there. And as always, keep living high, wild, and free. If you've enjoyed this video, please consider supporting my Patreon account. I don't mean to brag, but I am really poor, and I could use your help to continue making great content like this. Check out the link in the description below.